What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Bingetown TV and our coverage of Netflix's YuYu Hakusho. So we've been on, I guess, maybe like a 2 week hiatus at this point, but holiday season, we flipped the calendar to 2024. Hope everybody's having a very happy and solid new year. As always, there is no episode titles. So this is just episode 4. We're getting into, I guess this is technically the back half of the season because there's only one episode left after this. But to be honest, after the break of having watched YuYu for a little bit, I was really happy to be back. It was fantastic. A lot of action, a lot of fighting. It's a little different than how it happens in the manga, but I think all of the matchups are the same. And it was, I think, what we've come to expect from this show. So I really enjoyed it.
I mean, say it for every Jujutsu Kaisen podcast, say it for every YuYu podcast. The episodes just keep getting better and better. I feel like this was definitely the best YuYu episode. The fights were fantastic, and leaves us with a nice, fat, juicy cliffhanger. Can't wait to get into it. But this episode, I think, was my favorite so far.
We got some good fights. Crew came together and executed, and now it's time for YuYu to do the same. Or what's his name's not YuYu, right? Yusuke.
It's Yusuke, but I mean it's Yusuke, YuYu. Okay, so before we get into what's actually technically the tournament itself, you kind of realize that a couple scenes into it that it's like, oh, okay, we're actually getting 1v1 matchups. All of the rich guys are watching and betting on it, so the tournament itself has actually kind of started. But before that, we just get a couple scenes. They're not incredibly important. I think the only thing we really establish is we have Kurama kind of knows that it's going to be a tournament. He's aware that this is about to happen. We learn that Sakyo, the mullet man, his kind of whole persona and reasoning behind doing a lot of things, that he's pretty much bored with life. He gambles a lot. He always ends up winning. There's really nothing in life that excites him at this point. So that's why he's pushing so hard on this yokai stuff and this portal. And then we learn at this point that Koenma hasn't told Yusuke that Genkai is dead. So that's kind of everything for the most part that happens.
Yeah, and they confirm that she is dead, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's kind of everything that happens like opening sequence. I don't know if anyone has any comments on that stuff, or we just kind of want to jump into the actual tournaments.
I have a comment. On Sakyo's desk, there was this saucer of like black liquid that was dripping.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's really important. That was definitely related to the dagger, the tablet, and the other shit. It's definitely a cursed object or whatever. I honestly forget what the terminology is for the items that they were seeking in the first half of the season. So I think there's some going on there. It might be giving him his luck or something of the or another.
Okay.
Yeah, my only comment was going to be that I'm just not sure if Sakyo has, like, if luck is his power or if it's just, a coincidence kind of thing that he's just that lucky,
He put a lot of bullets into that gun.
He filled it all up except for one.
Yeah, that was actually
that
was a really badass, I have to admit. That was awesome. But yeah, just not sure, like, again, if it's just his powers. I don't think it is. I just think he's just genuinely just a lucky guy. But yeah, I agree with Alki that they did kind of emphasize that puddle. I honestly at first didn't make too much of it. I thought it was kind of just one of those, like, I don't know, what do you call those, like, beads? Just like something on your desk that you just have.
I know what you're talking about,
yeah. Just like one of those, like, cats that just fucking dips its hand in the water kind of thing. I didn't take it as a cursed object, but I mean, it definitely resembled, like, it felt like it had a pulse almost. But
I think it was because I was thinking the same. It might have been something that's like receiving droplets, but there was nothing above it that would indicate that something was dropping into it.
I'm just saying, I didn't think it was dropping anything into it. I think it was just maybe just a toy. But again, I'm probably more on the side of that it's a cursed object, I guess.
I was also getting the vibes that it was pulsating again, like you just said. So who knows? We'll see. We'll see. If it's nothing, it's nothing. I mean, they didn't like explicitly point it out.
Yeah. Maybe if you've been following along, you know that Alki's intuition is
A+, dude.
Is A+. So I guess
excuse the bedhead watchers.
Excuse the bedhead. All right. Well, now we can move into what is the really fast-paced, exciting part of the episode. So we get two very specific one-on-ones, and then we get kind of more action. So the way I took notes and the way I think it's going to be the easiest to talk about it is we break it into those buckets. So bucket 1 is kind of Kurama versus Karasu. Bucket 2 can be Hiei versus Bui. I guess is his name. Is how you pronounce that.
Yeah.
Then we have Keiko rather. I'm sorry, Yukina and Korobara, and then we'll just end with like the Yusuke kind of thing that'll bring us into kind of like next episode talk. So bringing us back to the top, we have two people with just beautiful flowing locks. So they get after it. This Kurama versus Karasu fight is, I thought it was just fantastic. I actually wrote a lot of notes on just of things. I was like, oh, that sounds important. Oh, that looks important. Oh, that looks cool. Oh, that looks cool. So just, I think the whole floor is wide open to just talk about this entire fight. So anything we want to say, I'm sure we'll kind of just be jumping around places, but
the villains just had such amazing designs. These two villains, Karasu and Bui, both of them were just so badass. I was, as soon as I guess I didn't take notes of Karasu like in the previous episode when he was introduced.
Yeah.
But seeing him now just on his own, just head to head with Kurama, I was like, this guy definitely means business. And of course, all the guys are placing bets on not Kurama and not Hiei, and I'm just like, okay,
yeah, they're trying to parlay the boys.
Yeah, it was so obviously going to be a win for Kurama and Hiei, but this fight specifically, I can't even pick. I think they're both just incredible. The intensity of like the speed running too was very nice. It looked very clean. That's something you always have kind of worries about in these kind of live actions, but I thought the speed and how fast they were moving looked really clean cut, and did not expect the transformation from Kurama. And I guess I should have, maybe a little bit, knowing he's a yokai and he has such a human-esque form. But damn, I fucking loved. Yeah, and of course it's got to be the fox. I mean, I don't know why we didn't talk about that at all. I mean, we maybe shout out Naruto once last episode, but didn't really connect the dots.
You did, because you were like, I'm trying not to pronounce it like Naruto, but it has to be pronounced that way.
It is the same.
That was the best part of the episode.
So that was just the great reveal. Yeah, I mean, the design looked, I thought, incredible for Kurama with the white fox look.
It was sick, and I wonder if Naruto's author, and I'm embarrassed that I can't place his name right now, but Kishimoto. I wonder if he was inspired by Yu Yu Hakusho to name the nine-tailed fox Kurama.
Well, there's a One Piece inspiration in here. One Piece being inspired, I think, by this character, by Karasu here.
By the ball of fires?
No, the design. Yamamoto is what he's referring to.
No,
right?
No. Karasu is a character in One Piece who is one of the lieutenants of the Revolutionary Army, and he has like the mask too.
Oh, you're right. Like that's it. We've only seen that character a little bit, so holy shit, you're probably right.
Yeah. Why not? Right?
But you never know, because also the My Hero guy with the same mask was like pretty popular before that.
Yeah, but they're not sharing the same exact name.
True. Good point.
Yeah, I you're right. That at least. I mean,
you're definitely right about that.
Yeah, that's the way I took it. So
I liked the Karasu versus Kurama fight. I thought it was the best one, frankly. I like Kurama's power with the vines and the plants. I didn't really know where it was going in the first half of the season. Like, I thought he just had that whip, but for him to be able to make plants and they're alive and shit, and his finishing move was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was
but
cool.
I really loved Karasu's power, man. I thought that was like so cool. The orbs of fire, or like gas or something. They didn't really flesh it out. It doesn't matter. It looked so sick.
Yeah, the minefield move was cool.
Anything with explosive like firepower is so entertaining. It was impressive how they conveyed it on screen so well. It reminded me of Boom Boom Death Guy or whatever from Avatar. What the fuck is this nickname that Sokka gives him?
Yeah,
the guy with this thing on his eye, and he's like,
Combustion Man. I know it's just like the short version is Combustion Man.
Combustion Man, that is it.
But
Thank
right,
you.
Yeah, the first one was like something like Boom Boom something. But it was because it was like shooting invisible orbs that would eventually land and blow up, which the scene that I specifically think of when I'm remembering this fight is Kurama using the Vine Whip to kind of like propel himself away from the explosions that were like, it just
it looked good, man.
Yeah, it looked really good, and I was genuinely like kind of sitting there like, damn, this looks really good, like better than any live action fight for the most part we've seen. I mean, I'm going to exclude when I say live action. I'm going to exclude One Piece for the time being, just because it's also a different beast. But like
Yeah.
in general, when you think of live action in these kinds of fights, they're just like kind of cringe. But this didn't feel like that.
This anime is up there with One Piece, man.
Oh yeah,
The movement,
I
the
honestly
movement
might even
looks
say it's
so,
better, to be
like
honest.
the
Seriously.
movement looks as natural as it can while being supernatural.
Mhm.
you
Oh
know?
yeah, like it doesn't feel corny, you know.
Yeah,
Like this,
100%.
the costumes look pretty solid. Like even Bowie's supposed to be that juggernaut character, but when he's like taking off his armor and it's like boom, and it's like he was carrying so much weight, kind of like Rock Lee. Like
Yeah.
that was sick.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know if the regular watcher caught that either. You know what I mean? I thought it was a great detail that he needed to do that to keep up with Hiei.
Yeah. I love the
Yeah.
the like breakdancing head spin that Kurama does. Like while using the
Yeah,
whip,
while
like that's such a
fine, yeah.
smart move to use while you have like a whip like that. It's just it all looked fucking good. And
What
I
is
was
this? Sorry, Kyle. Continue.
no, I was just gonna say that I feel like the yokai transformation into the fox like could have looked goofy as hell. You think he just like kind of has these like fuzzy cat ears almost, but it didn't look like that, which was good.
It looked good. It looked badass. Actually, like I don't. It's not a big takeaway. I don't love Hiei's design. I think his cartoon design is so much better. I think he looks a little bit unnatural, but I was pleasantly, I was impressed with the Kurama interpretation. I had never seen Kurama drawn before either, like that in that form, especially. So, to me, it looked cool. I wonder what the relation is between his power and obviously the fox thing.
Yeah. And plants and things like that.
Yeah, so maybe it's like
clear.
nature. I don't know. Maybe that like fox being controls it. I don't know, but I thought it was also cool how Karasu knew Kurama and his reputation. It adds a little more to like the lore, and their background. So
yeah,
we
He's
also
like, the whole point is him like trying to push him to transform. He's like, I want the real you. I want the real you. And
speaking of background and lore, we learned about Hiei's sis and how they confirm that they're yokai. So my intuition was a little off about that, but whatever.
Yeah, it's okay. She looked a little different.
My last comment, at least in terms of that fight, the Kurama fight, is that his transformation really reminded me. Have you seen? I know none of us have watched Boruto, but Naruto in Boruto has that new form that's called like the Baryon mode or something like that, where it's like
I think I've seen it.
Yeah, it reminded me exactly like that, and I wonder again. This is just going into the conversation of like the inspiration of the design. Maybe it did come from Inuyasha, but it's like it's just basically that, but just red instead of white. And
I was gonna say that Inuyasha was more what I was thinking.
Yeah,
right. You're right. It did remind me of a lot of Inuyasha because doesn't he get ears and shit?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he has a similar transformation. That's specifically, I think Inuyasha is probably the direct correlation there, but it did remind me of the Baryon mode from Naruto.
Yeah. All right. So Kurama versus Karasu ends up as Kurama killing him with the seed of the death plant.
I guess my last question was, why were his plants decaying? Was that because of Karasu's like explosions? It felt like out of nowhere he kind of started maybe it was just him expending a lot of his power. He's not used to being in that form, but I didn't get why the plants started decaying.
That seemed to be what they were saying. Yeah, I don't think it was explicit in any way. It just
that it was a strong form. He's just not used to it, I guess, and he had a time limit.
That's
the classic anime.
Yeah, with like the way they presented it, that's what it seemed like they wanted you to take away from it. All right. So moving into the second fight, we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but I know that there's at least one big thing that we haven't talked about that we want to talk about. So Hiei versus Bui, I guess is what we'll go with. Initially, this battle kind of shows itself as like overwhelming strength versus overwhelming speed, because as we know from Hiei, that's kind of what his deal is the speed aspect of it. And poof, man, again, just the choreography is fucking awesome. The way that he uses the axe, like even when he swings and it hits the ground, he doesn't pick it up again. He like pushes it through the ground, and he's just like on Hiei's ass the whole time in close quarters. And then what Alki said with the transformation, where he then sheds the weight, and now we're getting into like fisticuffs. It just was fucking another good one. It was just dark was the only thing.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, the one thing that comes to mind, like Bui shows up with this huge battle axe, and you're like, okay, like this might look a little terrible for being live action. Like, how are they going to incorporate such a big weapon and make it seem like he's wielding it without, struggling too much? And I thought they did a perfect job. At the beginning, it looked
like it looks like it's made out of foam.
Yeah, and I was a little worried at first in the beginning, maybe because I had those thoughts, I wasn't like too into it. But honestly, as the fight progressed and we kept seeing like the different ways that he was using the axe and swinging and using its momentum in different ways, I honestly thought it was amazing. Again, that's just one of those things that you think about because if it's a live action, it's going to be really cringe and not look that well. But I think it looked very natural the way he was swinging it, and again the ways that he was like using the momentum of the heavy axe to create new moves. I thought was very smart and just well done.
The
And
way he like uses it to almost like climb up the wall when he like swings and and then he like vaults himself above it and then takes like another swing.
when he
I
splits
thought
the
was fucking
rafters or
sick.
whatever,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
that was fucking sick.
Yeah, 100%.
That
I
looks
was
so
definitely
cool.
I was definitely out loud saying like that was fucking
That was a
dope.
great move. And then
Yeah.
Hiei, on the other hand, I love when like the inverted grip strike where he like they're kind of going and they're Hiei gets cut and Hiei's also like chinking up his armor a little bit, and then Hiei like does the inverted grip on the sword and like kind of punches through the axe like into his chest, and I was like, oh yeah, that looked fucking sick.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
But I'm kind
And
of
then
with Alkia. The Hiei design is not my favorite design.
yeah.
I just
But
hate his hair. Like, I don't know why they had to make his hair big, but whatever.
I mean, it is big. I
but
guess
yeah,
they're
of
trying to stay as
course,
true as they
Yeah,
can.
course, like Alki said though, the armor coming off is definitely a Rock Lee moment. I mean, who knows where the
Yeah.
inspiration came from originally? It was probably maybe even Piccolo from fucking OG Dragon Ball. Like this is because I feel like that was
Yeah, I guess it's
maybe the
hard to
first
say.
time. Yeah,
Yeah, without
so
like the
hard.
years in front of you.
But I mean, it was
I
fucking
guess the
dope.
concept itself is fairly like not obvious.
it's
I
a
don't want to say, but
common.
like
It's
yeah,
a
it's pretty easy to think of. I guess
the
you could
anime
say.
Yu Yu Hakusho. I just looked it up. Was out from 92 to 95. So that means that the manga was written before then, right?
Mhm. I think the
Or
manga would
at
have been
least at the
like
same time.
almost like 88, 89 maybe it started coming.
Mm-hmm. With that being said,
Potentially.
that's old. I mean, like Naruto definitely didn't start coming out till much later.
No, mid '90s, I think it was late
Yeah.
late
Late
'90s.
90s, right? I think so.
Yeah. But overall, just two phenomenal fights that again, just
Yeah.
you're worried about the
Well,
cringiness and
okay. I mean, how about Hiei's trump card?
yeah, that
This
that was
black
impressive.
dragon that just shoots out of his like tattooed, caked up arm. I thought was, yeah, I was very curious what you guys were thinking of that. And again, the special effects on it looked fucking awesome. Like when we like catches its jaws and is like okay, and that looked cool, and then it just fucking takes him for a ride, and I was like, oh baby,
That was definitely Madara versus get Mike guy when he
Yeah.
catches the fucking tiger or whatever. But like he
Actually a
just
great call, yeah.
fucking just destroys him anyway. Great
Yeah,
fight.
That's sick, actually.
Oh, the dragon was
Cool.
amazing. It looked incredible, I thought. Definitely vibes of also Wheel of Time with the Dragon Reborn season 2 a little bit.
Fair.
But damn, it looked good. Again, me and Alki kind of said it like we kind of know a little bit about Hiei. We're kind of assuming that he's going to join the squad up. It's kind of pretty evident, I feel like, at this point, since they're all fighting, the same enemies at whatever. But this was something I didn't expect. I didn't know he had this this dragon arm, which I'm excited to get more into. It also left his right hand like completely torched afterwards, and
Yeah.
Kurama made it seem like when they re-met up afterwards that he can do it multiple times. It's just, I guess, his arm needs to be healed for it to be used, I guess. But I took it as it's not just like a one-time deal, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it seems like he's used it before. Like that wasn't the first time using
like
it.
Kurama, I
but
think
we don't
specifically
know.
says like looks like you won't be using that for a while or something like that. I think
Yeah,
when
and
he
then he's
sees the
like,
right
"I'm
arm.
good,"
Yeah, of course.
which clearly bluffing. Yeah. Fuck
But it was the dragon, the way it just takes Bui and just like spins him in the air and then just drops him into the ground. It was so badass.
And we do find out a little bit here that Bui has fought younger Toguro before the Toguros and lost. So in the manga, I'm pretty sure it works that Bui and Karasu have fought them before and lost, so now they're like slaves for life, basically.
Okay.
But the tournament arc in the manga is like a legit like tournament. They're in like an arena with like a crowd and fans, and there's like
Right.
like classic Dragon Ball Z. Like there's just like a square that's like okay, we're fighting. So that's like okay, this is Kurama versus Karasu, and they fight like that. This is a little bit more impromptu, but I think it works better for the story.
The live action adaptation.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. that it's like impromptu, but like also kind of planned. Where like
Well,
there's
yeah, they
cameras
like
and there's
led them
betting.
there.
Yeah,
They led them there, but there's not. I mean, we know it's a fucking like a
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
battle
yeah.
royale.
Yeah, it's not like they like sent out tickets and like, you know what I mean, like they were selling concessions and shit for it.
So
I
do
guess
they have
cigars.
multiple fights then? Does like Kurama have multiple fights?
That is a fantastic question that I don't remember the answer to. But I would have to say, if I had to guess, I would say yes. But someone can
Probably,
correct
right?
me. Someone can correct me. All right.
Tarakane goes down millions here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of them do. A lot of them were plucking, trying to parlay Bui and
Yeah.
Karasu. So.
The fat guy, he's like 20 million yen, and I was just like,
Yeah.
"You're an idiot."
He bet on both the wrong people. He didn't hedge
Yeah.
any bets. He didn't hedge any.
Dopey.
Well, 'cause-
All right.
Yeah.
So the third bucket, second to last bucket, is going to be Keiko, Yukin, Kuwabara runs into them. So before we run into Kuwabara, we just have some kind of just quick bonding where Yukina heals Keiko's hand. Keiko then pulls out some Yusuke learned wrestling moves and knocks the guard out so they escape. And I just like how I have it in quotes, like Keiko convinces her to escape, where she's basically like, I will literally drag you out of the cell by your neck. So a little bit of fiery Keiko's personality coming out there. And then really coming out when she, I guess unexpectedly, obviously, but just hits Kuwabara with a nice nut shot as he's running around the corner.
I was actually cracking up. That was so funny.
He also wrestled the jailer.
Yeah, she knocked his ass out.
Did we know she had? I think they had mentioned like she had karate background or something, right? Like martial arts.
Didn't she put somebody in an armbar earlier in the season, or did I imagine that?
She definitely does it here. The guy's like definitely in a clear like WWE
Grapple.
headlock. Yeah.
She's like, thank God for the Yusuke's wrestling lessons. I'm like, damn, bro, he's getting he's trying to get close, dude.
Yeah, wrestling. What you mean wrestling?
And of course, like he's in so much pain, he looks up and then sees his angel, and I'm just, I'm cracking the fuck up. Oh,
like,
my
who
God.
is this beautiful woman next to
Only
me?
thing was missing was a nosebleed.
Yeah.
yeah.
That would have been a great. That would have been funny. I would like. That would be so funny to see that in live action.
But they so they're now kind of, you know, walking through the tunnels, doing their thing, and they accidentally let loose another Helen. So the chase scene was just kind of funny. Kuwabara, like when he tells her like do that one, and then it opens, he goes, yeah, like bingo, and then it just opens up, and then they have to run the other way. But I thought it all looked cool. I mean, the like Keiko has the metal thing, so she's doing it with the sound. I was like waiting for Kuwabara to pull out the spirit sword, if I'm honest.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, they totally dick teased us into the end where he slides through, and then we actually run into the real battle, which is him versus Elder Toguro, the little guy. So.
I was at first like, oh, they're doing my boy dirty here. He's just gonna fight this fucking demodog, like whatever. Yeah. But then this last episode's gonna be Kuwabara and Yusuke versus the bros.
Yeah.
My only
bros
complaint
bros.
I think I would have so far of this show is I just feel like there hasn't been enough training for Yusuke to just immediately go up against Toguro. You know, his main fights have been one random random yokai, and like that's it. Like he's trained a little bit, and I know he's gonna win, which is why I'm kind of just like saying this now. Like I'm sure it's gonna be badass, but it just doesn't feel like he's at that level yet. Like Toguro, we know has been around the block, whoops his master, Yusuke's master, and has beaten all these other strong ass yokai who needed like other strong ass yokai to beat them. And now like Kuwabara, who was just running away from a devil dog, is going to fight the number 2 guy. And then Yusuke is going to fight the number 1 guy after having no experience. So my only complaint of the show so far is, again, I'm just assuming he's going to win. We'll see what actually happens in the next episode. If honestly, it might even be better if he were to lose. It would make more sense to me, but I don't think he will. And it's going to be my only complaint. But either way, I'm like still very much looking forward to like how he's going to grow during this fight.
Well, and I guess it's technically preemptive because they could
like he hasn't even fired off like he hasn't even fired off a successful like spirit blast on purpose, you know, like some of them may have been just like heat of the moment kind of like fired it off, but like he hasn't done like sat down and just like multiple in a row fired off, you know.
It's true. We've only seen him really have like that quick scrap with Hiei after the training.
Yeah, okay,
Which was
that's
obviously
really it.
inconclusive.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see. I mean, we have they mention it in the opening sequence. They gave us a little recap here about how he has that spirit wave orb. We're not sure what that is yet, so that obviously is going to come and play a role, and we'll just have to watch. As we know, the fights in the show have been incredible, so I think despite maybe a level of implausibility of how earned the victory would be, I think the fights themselves are going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the fights themselves,
Yeah.
but just
Mhm.
either
And I
way, I
guess-
love watching Toguro just juice up a little bit.
Yeah,
It's pretty badass.
A little warm up to start. I love his
Yeah.
glasses too. The glasses look funny.
Yeah.
And then the last important piece of information is that the wormhole is now open.
Mm.
So we will see what kind of role that plays in this final episode that's upcoming. 5-episode season. First time I've ever experienced it in my life, but we're
I
gonna
just
keep going.
I'm getting JJK vibes of just the ending of this season is just gonna be all these fucking yokai just coming out. and-
Swarming out. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would actually be a crazy parallel.
yeah. But other than that, just great episode, man. I love me some good fighting, and we got 2 great fights here.
I hope
Yeah,
they
it's gonna be
stick.
back.
I hope they stick the landing because this has some serious potential to grow Netflix's arsenal of live action adaptations. You know, now
Yeah.
we got Alice in Borderland, One Piece, 2 that stick out. There's other ones that are on Netflix. I'm not sure how many of them are actually like Netflix.
I think Death Note was unfortunately.
Oh, that one's
definitely-
probably ass. I
it
didn't
is
watch that shit.
1000%
I think
But,
they wiped
um,
Cowboy Bebop off the internet completely.
Oh yeah, that
Oh
was-
yeah, that one was shit. But
So-
hey, they've come since those 2. They've come out with 2 good ones: Alice in Borderland and One Piece. So this one could
Yeah.
be number 3.
No, for sure.
I mean, dude, look, like it's hard.
Yeah, I'm
I
expecting
think-
it to nail the landing, and I think if it does, I'll be recommending it to friends.
I think that like show creators, and you saw this with Dragon Ball Evolution, they try really hard to personify like the characters. And I think they should take a page from comic book adaptations books, instruction manuals, you know? Because like Batman is one that sticks out to me. Batman's never corny. Like they don't make Batman live action since like the 50s where he has like a gray suit with black tighty whities.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of where I'm coming with the Hiei design. Like they can make him look cool. They don't have to give him the 80s hair. You know what I'm
Fair.
saying? But it is what it is. They're it's growing. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly 4 episodes in was probably more hooked into this live action than the One Piece one. I love the One Piece one, but this one I think is just because the pacing's meant to be a little bit quicker. Like One Piece is whatever, like 1,000 chapters plus of content, where this is like already kind of condensed.
If you
And-
like wiped my brain of both content of
Mhm.
Yu Yu Hakusho and One Piece content, and then told me to watch them, like I feel like I would be more engaged with this show.
I agree.
than the One
Yes,
Piece live action.
I agree.
I think it
especially
has-
at this age, you know, because we're just older now.
Yeah.
I think it has to do with I think it also has to do with the fact that we don't know as much about the story that we
Yeah,
do at
and One Piece also
Also
just
true.
naturally is just more, I think, comedic. It seems like I have
Yeah.
never read Yu, but like it's definitely seems a little darker in tone.
Yeah, I think that's also been like a conscious choice of the show. Like Alkis
Right.
saying, like not maybe leaning into so much of like the cartoony. Like there's still
Right.
some laughs involved, but it's not as like over the head, like slapstick.
Right, like Luffy
of
screaming,
comedy.
kind
like
of.
Luffy
Yeah.
sticking fucking bonbons in his pocket.
So I think
Middle of the
they've like
episode.
hit a nice tone for the show for like a live action version of it.
Definitely.
For sure. Yeah. So we'll be back. I don't want to I mean, I assume we're just kind of rolling now. JJK has finished, so we're kind of our anime slate has just dwindled down to one.
solo leveling.
But solo level, well, we're not sure if it's coming out if it's a Japan only release or not. So we'll have to look into that. But
I'm
we'll
gonna
have more
learn
anime
Japan.
stuff coming.
I'm gonna learn Japan. I'm gonna learn Japan.
I'm gonna learn Japan.
I'm gonna learn Japanese so I can watch it.
So we'll be back with one more Yu Yu Hakusho episode. But don't
I
fear.
think
that
Solo
won't be the end.
Leveling's out, guys. It's on Crunchyroll.
Oh my god.
Okay, let's go. So yeah, don't fear. That won't be the end of our anime coverage, and that at very least won't be the end of Bingetown TV's coverage. So Bingetown TV is much bigger than just Yu Yu Hakusho and anime. There's a bunch of us that host these shows. We're currently covering Reacher season 2. I'm not sure exactly when that will we'll wrap up, but I'm sure it's soon-ish. We have Percy Jackson and the Olympians on Disney Plus. We're covering that show as well. True Detective comes out quite soon, so we'll be covering that show as well. And yeah, and then we'll keep going. 2024 should be a good year for Bingetown TV, and we would love to have you along for the ride. The best way to support us is just going to be subscribing, whatever you're listening or watching on. And if you're watching, maybe throw us a like on YouTube and maybe comment. Maybe comment if we got something wrong, which I'm sure I did for the most part. You want to clarify something, or you just want to shout us out, give us some kudos. And yeah, so for the second to last time in this YuYu Hakusho season, once again, we are Bingetown TV, and thank you for listening.